Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to what is going to be Game 2 of 5EVER versus Team Underminer. Obviously, I'm not Toby1. I'm Capitalist. Going to be taking over this series for Toby since he's been up since 1 a.m. for some reason. That guy has, like, the most screwed up sleep schedule ever. Anyway, so I'm going to be jumping in now, and I'm going to be with you guys for the next, 11 hours. So we have a whole bunch of MLG games. We do have some breaks in between. I think we have like a 2-hour break after this series, and then another 2-game series, and another 2-hour break, and then 2 different 2-game series after that. So we will be here all night long. So I know some of you are probably watching DAC. Once that's done, if you want to come back, check this whole thing out. We'll be doing tons and tons of Dota here on the MLG joinDOTA channel. So I think I'm a little hot. Toby just wants to be loud, proud, and in charge. Maybe I should be a little bit louder. All right, let's take a look at this draft, shall we? Game number 2, 5EVER versus Team Underminer. Definitely some names you should recognize. 5EVER, Ysera, Pelosin, Miracle. A lot of good names on this team, but Underminer have shown themselves to actually be a pretty damn good team. If you were watching that previous game, they definitely were doing quite well. Certainly surprised the hell out of me, because I just figured 5EVER would just kind of roll through it, but apparently not. Lion Bristleback is the first 1-2 here for 5EVER, while Vengeful Spirit and SF is going to be the response here from Team Underminer. We did have the Wisp-Band away by Underminer as well as the Morphling, while the Ancient Apparition and Batrider taken out by 5EVER. I can't say, okay, Ancient Apparition definitely pretty good hero versus Bristleback because his tankiness kind of plays against him in some ways, up against an Ice Blast. Batrider just seems like a regular, solid offlane hero. You know, I don't think these bans are actually, they're in response to previous plays by the opposing team. Okay, we don't want to deal with Morphling here, and their Wisp is really good. But specifically when it comes down to the draft, I don't feel like the bans actually are that big of counters, right? I mean, both drafts are actually very, very wide open. I mean, both sides went with a support and a core. And a core that doesn't really reveal your strategy in any way. I mean, an SF strategy can be early game push, or he can be a great carry in the late game with another carry as well. You know, since he's one of those versatile mids, you know, he can fulfill a lot of different roles in your draft. Now, the Bristleback, kind of similar story in the offlane, right? You can run really aggressive all-in strats with Bristleback. He works really well in push strategies, and at the same time, is definitely a great hero in the late game as well. Is a pretty damn decent semi-carry if you're looking for physical damage. Now, the Visage has been picked up by 5EVER, so the possibility here of an all-in push strat, as Underminer taking a lot of time, Visage could be flagging a Drow Ranger pickup. We've seen some more Visage here and there, but it's definitely still a hero that is paired up with the Drow Ranger most of the time. So I like this response from Team Underminer. They, in response to the potential threat of a Drow Ranger Visage combo, they go for the Queen of Pain. Now, any sort of jumping style heroes, I think, are going to be pretty beneficial for you up against the Drow. Now, Queen of Pain isn't the greatest hero, but it's just a all-around solid. I would say it's good versus the Drow Ranger Visage combo, but it also doesn't leave you too, for example, 5EVER, when they just pick up the Storm Spirit here, all of a sudden we don't have this kind of all-in push strategy. Now we could have still plenty of late game, and Queen of Pain is still going to be a pretty solid core pickup. But that being said, the Storm Spirit is going to be a very solid counter versus the Queen of Pain, depending on the farm order. This matchup is a matchup that we've seen plenty of times in the past. Many times, the Storm Spirit versus Queen of Pain. It's all about the timings of the Orchid. And the first Orchid pickup is usually the one that snowballs. Now, if they both pick up an Orchid at the same time, and this is why I said Storm Spirit is a pretty good counter to the Queen of Pain. If they both pick up their Orchid at the same time, Storm Spirit is actually stronger. And that's because Storm Spirit is more often than not able to get the jump on Queen of Pain rather than vice versa. His mobility is a little bit greater. On top of that, Storm Spirit also has a hard disable versus the Queen of Pain, while Quap doesn't have the same thing, right? If she has Orchid, all she has is just raw damage from there, plus a slow from Shadow Strike. Storm Spirit can actually jump in and grab the Queen of Pain and Orchid her up, which is very important, especially as you start going later into the game when, like, Scythe of Vices become prevalent. Who gets that first disable off determines who wins the fight, 9 times out of 10. So the Witch Doctor is now going to be the pickup here for Team Underminer, leaving their draft still, I would say, pretty open. We just know that there isn't going to be, it's unlikely to be seeing any sort of dual lane. We have seen a couple times in the Southeast Asian scene like this sort of dual off, where you won like a Bat and Queen of Pain, I think is one of the combos that we saw in the offlane. Now, that pretty much takes that out of the equation entirely, but picking up your support and leaving your last core as a mystery here, especially since their lineup is still not very determined at all. I mean, the Queen of Pain could be a mid lane here in SF in the off lane. We've seen Queen of Pain and Storm Spirit actually both being run as a one position. And this is normally, in the times, it sounds kind of crazy, but this is normally being ran when your Orchid timing is incredibly important. And obviously in this matchup, Queen of Pain versus Storm Spirit, it is. And that's why the Storm Spirit easily could be a one position here. Don't automatically think this is going to be a Quap versus Storm mid. Lifestealer going to be banned away by Team Underminer. Understandable with the Storm Spirit. A little bit of Nyx bomb action would certainly be quite powerful, especially since the Rage would make this Lifestealer really potent versus both Queen of Pain and SF in the early game. Later on to the game, he wouldn't be as strong, but he would certainly still be a carry that could keep up with the SF if he's just able to close the distance. Now, the Broodmother banned away by 5ever kind of ensures that they were a bit exposed to a Broodmother pickup. Bristleback has some AoE, Storm Spirit has some AoE, but they go for the Centaur. So this is interesting. Storm Spirit, traditionally, I would say Storm Spirit is going to be the mid here, and that would leave Centaur or Bristleback as the farming one position. Bristleback a little bit more late game oriented, but you can run Centaur in that position if you feel like it's better for you to have a really fast Blink Dagger and control the game 15 minutes forward, right? So either possibility is there for this matchup. I would actually say it's more important to have the one position Centaur, and Miracle is playing it, so it seems like that's going to be the case. But the one position Centaur here, the fast Blink Dagger, I mean, look at the lineup of Underminer. 3 very squishy cores, all of which you can catch out with the Centaur. Even Queen of Pain has a long enough animation that unless she sees you before you blink, she won't be able to blink away in time. Like, if you blink onto her and you start up your hoof animation, she won't be able to blink out in time if that's, like, the first time she sees you. So she's hit by that, stunned up, big old double-edged nuke to the face, and then if you have any follow-up whatsoever, guaranteed Quap kill. And if the Queen of Pain doesn't do very well in lane, maybe it's just the Centaur solo who can provide you that kill. At least in the first couple of ganks, anyway. When double edge is still overwhelmingly powerful. The SF, obviously, until he gets BKB, super susceptible to the Centaur jump. And then our last pick here, from the side of Underminer that we still need to talk about, the Necrophos. A hero that doesn't really like to pick up BKB, meaning the Centaur is actually still quite effective, even going into the mid to late game. So I think all around, the pickup of the Centaur and their decision to run him as a one-position farmer is quite smart. I really like it. I feel like 5ever do have a slight lead here in this matchup, but we'll see. Ysera's going to be taking over the Storm Spirit mid. It will be faced up against the SF. Now, the side of Underminer are going to be running an aggro try here. The Vengeful Spirit Witch Doctor, and Necrophos. Necrophos is one of those few heroes, while weak in the laning phase to a certain extent, can still be very strong. It just depends on the various situations. If you're playing more for a harassment game, which this aggro tries 3 different ranged heroes, so they have a ton of really good harassment potential, Necrophos is super good in that regard. Right, he's got better sustain thanks to his Heartstopper aura as well as potential early level of Sadist, keeping him generally healthy while the Heartstopper takes you down. And then, of course, the Death Pulse is quite the value ability once you get it to level 5, where you've got a pretty damn good nuke, but also healing up your allies in that tri-lane is really effective as well. Now, it looks like we're going to be seeing a battle here over the rune. Now, Chibi was in a great position there to get off a really good impale, but instead just backed off. He did go for the first level of Hex. And good start for Underminer. They actually get both the bounty runes. So the safe lane Queen of Pain is going to be in a great position versus the Bristleback, getting to level 2 before him. And automatically, this matchup is pretty favorable for the Queen of Pain. Any hero that has to deal with constant Shadow Strike and ranged harassment is going to be eaten through tangos quite quickly, which is why you see the Bristleback go for double tangos. I mean, there's no other way he goes through this lane without that. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that bottom lane, make sure our Bristleback doesn't drop too low and get dove by the Queen of Pain. But the main force of action is going to be here in this top lane, where the Tri versus Tri is going to be going on. Now, the Necrophos, I said he was sometimes weak in the laning phase, and that's because direct engagements he is very weak at. A level 1 nuke, it only does 75 damage and 70 heal, so it's not a very reliable ability, and you're probably one of the squishiest heroes to start with. You only start out with 500 HP, and that's after a couple of branches, so you're super squishy and can easily be blown up by some nukes. The problem is just actually getting to that Necrophos, and this lineup from 5EVER, their tri-lane is certainly powerful enough to blow up the Necrophos before he can get off that Death Pulse, but whether or not they'll see the opportunity, it's only going to happen around level 2. Maybe they wait till level 3 before they try and make it go. But leading with the Impale, Hex, hit the Centaur, hit the Double Edge, and then follow up with the last nuke of the Soul Assumption. They could easily kill one hero. As you can see, they're going to try and jump forward here. Now, this is a bit early, but they're going to go for the Witch Doctor, and they do manage to do it, too. The Witch Doctor got out his cask, but it wasn't enough to save him there. As Chibi manages to get to first blood, and that's a really bad start there for Underminer. I mean, every single one of their heroes in this tri-lane, when the Vengeful Spirit is probably your tankiest hero, and even she, level 1, is actually quite squishy. It's only until you get that high strength gain kicking into play. She starts out kind of squishy, but it's her strength gain that really makes her quite powerful. Plus the fact that she's an agility hero, so she's got a high amount of armor naturally as well. It actually makes Vengeful Spirit one of the more durable supports out there. But even level 1, she's quite squishy. They also don't manage to control the pull. This ward right here doesn't seem to be stopping them, as I thought it would be, but I guess it's maybe just on the barely outside of that. You know, GB kind of getting caught out there, but Cask is very dangerous potentially in Tri versus Tri engagements, especially once you get to level 3 and you're able to get that extra set of bounces. Jump forward. They are going to go for Necrophos here. Once again, they're going to try and blow him up. Pelosin does have that last nuke required, but he got stunned up. Now Chibi will fall, and Miracle is getting quite low. The supports are going to chase him back, but it doesn't look like it's going to come of anything there. So they do manage to trade once again. The Necrophos does go down. Very favorable engagement for 5EVER, even if they did lose his support. And the only reason that got close, the only reason they actually lost Chibi and the Centaur took a lot of damage there was solely because that cask from the Witch Doctor managed to stop the Visage from getting off that big Soul Assumption nuke. If he had gotten off that nuke, they would have been, like, killed Necrophos without Death Pulse going out, and that would have been a much faster and much cleaner kill by them. Now, Queen of Pain just got the Bristleback. We said we were going to try and keep an eye on that, and sure enough, the Queen of Pain does eventually get that kill. I like this build quite a lot by the Queen of Pain, like fully invested in trying to punish this this melee hero she's facing. No levels in Blink, second level in Shadow Strike, and three levels of Scream of Pain, like maxing out the nukes as much as possible. And that's obviously a great idea because you aren't going to be moving around as this Queen of Pain. Like, you want your Orchid really badly, so you just focus on winning your matchup, and you'll be fine. I'm actually a little bit surprised she went for the level in Sonic Wave, purely because of the fact that she doesn't really have the mana to use it just yet. So I almost figured, like, maybe the level in Blink Strike or even an extra level in Shadow Strike, which would be kind of crazy. 1 or 2 levels in Shadow Strike definitely makes sense, but if you really want to be dominant, if you really think you're going to be AFK for 15 minutes in your lane, maybe some levels past that into Shadow Strike, but you're actually going to see the Queen of Pain punished here. Hexed up, stun, Pelosin does have a nuke. It's going to be coming out soon and will be able to blow up the Queen of Pain just in time. She gets off the last screen, but not nearly enough to threaten anybody there. And good rotation there from 5ever, choosing to punish the Queen of Pain for her lack of Blink Strike. But yeah, that's why I was kind of thinking maybe you go Blink Strike at level 6, because you're not going to be using Sonic Wave anytime soon. And maybe Blink Strike actually gives you more kill potential versus the Bristleback than having Sonic Wave, which you can't use right now anyway. Now this rotation around, this should be fairly obvious, but the SF, okay, he knows what's up. Cloud is positioning himself just to run straight up river in time for the 6-minute rune. At the same time, these supports were trying to get to him. So now Chibi is the one who's kind of trapped here. The illusions will chase him away. And our SF returns back to the middle lane, where he's doing quite well. 36-11 versus the 32-9 on the Storm Spirit. So Cloud is farming quite well. The Queen of Pain sitting in that second, third position there at 33-16 versus the Bristleback. And it's only going to get worse now. She's about to pick up upgraded boots, while the Bristleback still sitting with just regular boots, and now actually going to be getting a bottle. Bottle probably the best thing for him in this lane. If you can start getting the bottom rune, like, he needs that extra regen desperately. And if he can get the bottom rune as well and fill that bottle up a couple times, he'll be able to sit in the lane a little bit more comfortably, but obviously it's still a very dangerous lane, especially with Queen of Pain returning back with full mana. Now she does go for the level in Blink Strike. Well, questionable blink there. She's probably afraid of the supports who have been off map for quite some time. In fact, Ysera is now off map. He's smoked up and heading to the bottom lane. And they probably will be able to get this Queen of Pain kill. Unless she backs out, like right now, Ysera is going to make a jump. And, oh, nope. Range creep. Spotted him out. And Queen of Pain, she's fine now. They're going to be fine. On the left side, we do have Vengeful Spirit here, looping around, seeing if she can't counter the potential dive of the Storm Spirit, but they see vision now. Ysera heads back to the middle lane, and Chibi, who is trying to go around the middle here, had the Witch Doctor kind of lying in wait, but he just wanted to get a mid-ward and then backed himself out. Eight-minute rune is going to be bounty for the SF. Not much double damage is going to do for the Bristleback. He does have a nice Ancient stack here, but it's tough for Bristleback to farm up Ancients. It's not quite as easy as it is for someone like Tidehunter. It's certainly a lane that I think Bruno needs to be carrying a TP scroll. When you're going up against the Queen of Pain, one of the most obvious disadvantages that Queen of Pain has is that she has no disable. So if you're in a bad position, just try and TP out before the nukes and the right clicks are enough to kill you. It's definitely a bigger investment in gold if you're constantly TPing out of lane, but at least you're not feeding that Queen of Pain, which is the most dangerous thing to do right now because, again, the Orchid timing being so important right now. You could see the Queen of Pain is up 12 CS on the Storm Spirit and 1 kill as well. But because she died, it's actually quite even so far, especially since Ysera's been getting a lot of bounty runes. So that actually makes the net worth quite even. So these next couple of ganks, or maybe the jump in the middle lane where Cloud is potentially going to be bursted down here, the double edge, not quite enough, and Cloud is able to get off his ultimate, turn it around, the Centaur falls. Ysera's going to be up next as a big Reaper's Sight is able to take him down. Bruno now on the run out with the heals of the Necropulse. They will be able to keep a chase on to Bruno as Vissem looks to be able to get that last couple of hits in to ensure the kill, but Bruno, oh god, it's so close, but he looks like he will survive. 70 HP left. But at least they'll take control of this Tier 1 tower. So get the Storm Spirit, get the Centaur. Big turnaround there from Underminer. 5 ever. Really not looking like the team I expected. As the early game not going nearly as well for them as it should, I would say. Their lineup depends heavily on being able to snowball. Pelosin gonna be caught out here. No clue what that was about, but approaching the middle lane like there's no winning scenario there, right? He either gets caught or he doesn't. There's no like kill he's gonna get. There's no ward setup or anything like that. Oh dear, that's rough. Cloud is gonna try and go for the kill here on Miracle. Just hits him with one last pulse and then backs himself up. The Lion trying to get close enough. Chibi might be able to get a long range impale. As Storm Spirit also making the jump, we do have CK who managed to stun up Ysera. The impale, double impale. Nicely played by Chibi, positioning himself correctly there. And now the Vengeful Spirit is in some trouble. Does have some support from the Witch Doctor, but he bounces. He doesn't want to stick around to try and help her. Now throws out the Witch Doctor cast. Now maybe the turnaround here. The Familiars are able to soak up some, and the impale at the last second is able to get this kill, but the turnaround once again. Vissem is there at the right time, right place, and will be able to get the extra kill onto the Storm Spirit. He knows it too, and that's why he just turns around and does as much damage as possible, because there was no escape whatsoever from that Queen of Pain.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Meanwhile, our Necrophos continuing to calmly farm up this top lane. Top 3 CS all in favor of Underminer right now.
Dire's top tower is
I don't think this is a kill he can really get. He'll slow down Necrophos and maybe get a couple of stuns. Lion is getting there, and he is level 7, maybe with a long-range impale. Hex goes out, needs to try and get off the impale, but oh no, he does at least blow up the Necrophos, but he'll lose his life. And now the Witch Doctor, oh god, Pelosin. That was ballsy as hell. That was a really good read by Pelosin right there, saying that, hey, I can take this damage of the Witch Doctor ultimate, and I'll be able to get the kill on the Witch Doctor. But man, that was certainly manly by him to stay underneath that ward. Bruno is going to get a kill here. Not much the SF can do to stop it. The best he can hope for is get a return kill. But a TP out, Bruno positions himself, but oh god, that was really close. But Vissem, the range on that screen, he manages to barely clip the Bristleback there, and does result in a kill. I thought it was a nice little play there, the Bristleback, putting himself in that corner to TP out, or maybe it was this one, where the SF, no, it was this one, where the SF is hitting him on his back, or at least his side, once he sees him. But unfortunately, that he didn't really bank on the Queen of Pain being on the other side of those trees. If he knew about that, he could have just ran downwards and TP'd. Probably would have been the safer play. Necrophos, that mech, obviously going to be delayed up by that last death that he had. How's our Centaur doing? He's got Blink Dagger for sure, but no other item progression just yet. Hasn't had a successful roll. In fact, hasn't even picked up a kill yet. They're looking for a pickoff here on the bottom lane. Anywhere in the jungle or the bottom lane, they'll take it. Oh, nice little stack here, actually. Miracle's not going to be in real good fighting shape after clearing through this stack, but Stomp. Jeez. I think he maybe could have farmed that a little bit more efficiently, but fair enough. And Underminer. So they're playing really safe with the Queen of Pain in the bottom lane, and they're playing the Necrophos a little bit farther forward, but he's safe because of this 3-man smoke gank. So Underminer know that 5-Ever are really looking for kills right now and are playing very safe around that fact. In fact, might even be able to get a kill themselves. Ysera is quite low. He's currently farming up the zone jungle. Oh, and a blink dagger on Chibi. Okay, he actually has more farm than I thought. Let's take a look at that net worth. Top 3, all Underminer, but all 5 of the heroes of 5-Ever have a really good split of farm. So the supports are going to be more effective for the side of 5-Ever, even if the cores of Underminer are way farther ahead. Now, Roshan is a good start, but they really have to get a great fight out of this one, and I'm not sure if they're going to get there in time. Tier 2 is probably going to fall here. Yeah, sure enough, they'll commit to it. And the rotations, a lot of lost time here for 5-Ever, not a fight they can even necessarily take. TP's out, Miracle. Oh, go, buddy, go! He doesn't realize it, but he has the potential to get a pick off here. Oh, they will get it. Necrophos is going to be blown up here. They have to keep him in control, make sure he doesn't get off the Reaper's side. Oh, God, Miracle's going to fall. They keep him stunned up. Necrophos! Oh, so close to getting off that Reaper's side, but they do manage to chain stun him just well enough to keep that animation from going off, and Miracle will keep his Aegis alive.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
9-9, 16 minutes in. The favor of net worth is still to Underminer. But 5-Ever just getting a small little experience bump over taking Roshan and getting that pick off on the highly valued Necrophos. Still, I mean, 5-Ever at this rate, I mean, they need to have a big lead right now. And right now, they're just kind of like even. Well, jump on to Cloud. This could be a good start. Not sure if he has enough, though. As the Queen of Pain is going to be here with the Orchid. Bruno turns his back to Stormspear jumping in. He's going to be able to grab Visum. They're going to try and blow him both up. SF goes down, but Visum gets off the ultimate there. Is able to take down 2. Miracle now in some serious trouble as the Maledict and the Ward tear him a new one. Pelosin also getting quite low. We're going to have Miracle fall. He positions himself, so his second life, he has the opportunity to go for a kill here. And he'll try and chase after the Witch Doctor, but he's already out, and the Vengeful Spirit already TP'd away. That's a terrible fight there for 5-Ever. The Lion, Chibi, leading that one maybe a bit too early. Didn't wait for the Storm Spirit. They didn't have that collective damage. If they had managed to blow up the Queen of Pain before she got off that ultimate, that would have actually been a one fight there. But unfortunately, the Queen of Pain manages to get off that ultimate, claims 2 kills because of it. And 5-Ever lose the fight, and I mean, they lose the battle, but they're also losing the war as a whole. 13-11, 17 minutes in. You have an SF who's about to pick up the BKB. Orchid is already finished up on Quap and going for that secondary item, which is going to be a BKB as well. Necrophos, not really a BKB hero, but can just tank up with some raw amount of stats after mech. So look for that Aghanims, which you first build in a point booster, as well as the Ogre Club, which will make you a pretty tanky hero. Now the Quap does jump forward here, going for Chibi, who managed to blink himself away. And Visum is going to be stunned up here, and Hex, they'll be able to get this counter kill. Nicely played. All thanks to really fast reactions there from Chibi. Running after Bruno here, and oh no, he turns around at the wrong time. The Reaper Scythe, not nearly enough damage, but, ooh, Jay getting quite low, does get stunned up. The Familiars aren't doing any damage at all. And unfortunately, it seems like our Necrophos will survive. Left side, oh, Miracle gets him at the end. But now he's going to be stunned up. Cloud bursts him down real quickly. Ysera, not much you can do up against the Golden SF. Needs to be able to buy some space here. Bruno, who's now healed himself up thanks to the bottle, is going to reinsert himself into this fight, see if he can't go for these supports. Cloud in the backside is going to be blown up. He goes down. SF already down. Vengeful Spirit also falls, and poor Witch Doctor, who tried to TP away, is stunned up, and the last remaining member of Underminer, as a team wipe, brings 5-Ever back into this game. They were in a bad position before, but now after that fight, looking much better. Once again, Chibi with the quick blinks. Every single time Visum comes in, tries to Orchid and Scream, and he always manages to blink away before the Scream hits. Too bad he couldn't finish off this Ancient stack, though. That would have been a big win. But still, make sure that he doesn't get too greedy, and I like that. Even if Underminer 2 get the chance to clean up the rest of those Ancients. Just because 5-Ever, I say they're back into the game now, because I really saw the trajectory of this game just kind of all downhill. Now, they're back into it now, but they got to keep up the pressure, that's for sure. You don't want to be facing up against any one of these cores in the late game. Queen of Pain is probably the weakest of the three, and even she's, like, pretty damn good. She's got a blink, she'll get a disable and Scythe of Ice later on. Her burst damage is still really effective, even late game. But she tapers off a little bit. Heroes like SF and Necrophos, especially Necrophos, they only get stronger as time goes on. While 5-Ever, they're running with a Bristleback Storm Spirit. It's your best cores. Centaurs drops off significantly. I mean, he still is a decent late game force, but that's mainly because return. Like, you just get a whole bunch of strength and hope that they target you. And your return and right clicks are able to do a lot of damage. Smoke up. Good time for a smoke, too. You know 5-Ever are going to be looking for some kills of their own. As you can see, they're entering into the enemy jungle. Miracle will be caught out. You know, he does have the haste rune. Oh, he dodged the Sonic Wave, unfortunately for him. That haste rune not lasting long enough. Down in the jungle, Cloud is going to be taken down before his ultimate gets off. Ysera is low on mana, though, and the Queen of Pain's going to go for that kill. Unfortunately, no longer having her ultimate. Isn't able to burst down Ysera. In fact, will be losing her life here as the big nuke from the Visage is able to blow her up. Necrophos trying to go off the heal, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough. Witch Doctor on the side does manage to get off a really good ward, as well as a Maledict, but it's still the tanky Bristleback who's able to turn his back to all of this damage and is going to be looking to just run away with the extra movement speed he has. Necrophos, unfortunately, no Blink Dagger just yet. Bruno, oh no, he turned around, and oh dear. That wasn't a very good hiding spot anyway. He could have just ran himself away, and I think he would have survived, but no good. You could definitely tell that the supports being farmed is paying off quite well for 5-Ever. They've got some really effective late game supports. Visage, of course, with the Aghanims is a big beast. Once he has that upgrade, these familiars do tons and tons of damage and are decent disables as well. And then the Lion with his early Blink Dagger. I mean, numerous engagements have been won because Chibi was able to blink away from the attempted Queen of Pain. Chibi runs directly into the Necrophos here. Not a fight that he wants, though. And that's certainly an interesting ward. Doesn't see a whole lot of vision, but it sees something here. It sees this little spot here. So if anybody tries to juke through this area, they're done for. Not your traditional ward, that's for sure. Chibi will find, though, because of that ward, the Vengeful Spirit. Ysera comes in, able to Orchid up Visum, who already Orchided up the Lion. And now Lion, done with that Orchid, goes for the Impale. Not quite enough range, though. Chibi trying to get some distance here. They do have the Familiars to provide some cover, and they're going to need it, too. Visum, already using that Blink, is going to be taking a lot of damage, stunned up once. Nice swap there. Pelosin overextending himself, but good control of the Familiars. Dropping all three of them, stunning up a good amount. Vengeful Spirit is already down. Now Jay, Bruno is gonna, no. Reaper's Sight, too much damage. Cloud, though. Woo-wee. Look at that minus armor and physical damage from Pelosin. It's so much. They managed to juke the Queen of Pain there. And it looks like they'll get out, too. Turn around, Impale, Queen of Pain. Long range Sonic Wave. Oh, and it takes out the Familiars, too. That is rough. Pelosin going to be caught out by the Shadow Strike. Needs some help. Ysera is there, but it's too late. And now Ysera, he's Orchided up. He's going to fall as well. No BKB for him just yet. And just like that, 5-Ever back up against the ropes. As Underminer find another successful fight. This time, it seems like the engagements that are a little bit staggered are the ones that, and it makes sense, right? Necrophos really good in drawn-out engagements, while 5-Ever, most of their heroes are much more burst-oriented. Of course, the Centaur, Lion, and even the Visage. Storm Spirit to a certain extent. at least in the early game. Later on, he's a bit better at drawn-out team fights because he has so much mana. But for now, when he just has an Orchid, he's better at bursting down heroes. And then, of course, the Bristleback is the one hero who actually gets stronger as team fights go on, but he is, I would say he's not a major factor in these team fights, unfortunately. He's got a lot of net worth, but it's just the nature of Necrophos that means Bristleback is just not very strong. His damage over time, his first, like, 10 seconds of the engagement are easily countered by Death Pulses and Mech. So it's only after that point that maybe the Quills and the buildup of damage of the Bristleback starts actually providing a dent. But before that, the Necrophos pretty much counters everything he does offensively.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
$3K on the Shadow Fiend. He can build into Butterfly as his next item. That's usually the first real offensive item that the SF gets before, with this build anyway. You go Blink Dagger, you go BKB, make sure you can blink in, get off your ultimate. But then after that, you can get Butterfly, which is your first good offensive item. Viscim jumps right into the middle here, going for Chibi. The ultimate of the SF is able to blow him up. Now Viscim already losing his life. The physical damage too much. Jay is in a bad position as well, as Ysera is able to grab Cloud, and Jay is going to lose his life as well. Cloud TPing. Oh, boy! Almost got out of that one, but in the end, Stormspear does get the kill. I think that was the Orchid. They managed to get him. Meanwhile, the two supports were kind of backed out by just Miracle, it seems. Is throwing down that ultimate, but Miracle too tanky to be threatened by that one. And team fight after team fight, man. This net worth graph has got to be looking like a roller coaster. The experience probably so much more. As it seems like every team fight is won by the opposing team. Like 5-Ever, they win the team fight, but the next one's going to go to Underminer. And at this rate, it's good for Underminer. But 5-Ever just need to, I mean, once they start getting on a roll, they could potentially end this game fast enough. Now, talking about the late game of 5-Ever. Now, I automatically say Underminer have better late game, and it's definitely true. Their late game is super strong, but 5-Ever do have some late game of their own. It's mainly going to lie on execution of their late game and their Storm Spirit getting big. He's probably their best late game hero, and this means he needs to have really significant amount of net worth lead in order to win these fights for them when they start going late game. So the execution part is going to be about them blowing up the Necrophos as soon as possible and making sure he doesn't get off Reaper's Scythe. And then from there, it's controlling the other heroes, right? So Ysera jumps in, Orchids, Scythe of Ices up the Necro, and they lay in Finger of Death into him while the Lion and maybe the Familiars are controlling the SF and the Queen of Pain, if possible. Now, Pelosin himself can actually blow up one of these heroes if they pop EKB. For example, every single time he's been using his Medallion and going for whoever blinks in, right? If it's the SF who pops the BKB. Now, they found Viscim. This is a huge kill, too. But the swap! And he will survive. He managed to blink himself away. Cloud right in the middle of everybody does get off a big ultimate, but the BKBs were too much to handle. Oh, Viscim barely survives through that. Managed to take down the Aegis there of the Storm Spirit. Storm Spirit not going to make a long jump, as the Queen of Pain did manage to just TP out. So thanks to that Aegis, they do manage to win the fight just barely by 5-Ever. But considering the fact that they had Aegis and they had the initiation,
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
it should have gone better for them. Right? I mean, they almost blew up the Queen of Pain by itself, and then Ysera jumped after the Queen of Pain and ends up losing his Aegis and doesn't even get the kill.
Radiant structures are fortified.
But they do offer just enough control. They traded the Visage in exchange for the Necrophos. That is just enough control for them to take the Tier 1 and Tier 2. So significant buff in gold for 5-ever. And you could see it reflected in the fact that both the Bristleback as well as the Storm Spirit start bypassing this Queen of Pain. Now the SF still ahead in net worth. Butterfly is almost finished, and when that's finished, things start getting dangerous for for 5-ever. So the Butterfly, essentially what it does for Shadow Fiend is that he starts making that transition from being the blink in BKB ulti hero, which is not very effective right now. We saw from that last team fight, the ultimate did practically nothing. It blew up the Visage with a little bit of extra help from the supports. They managed to blow up the Visage with it, but everyone else took no damage because they have BKBs. So that the magic damage part of SF not nearly as effective as it was in the first 25 minutes. But as soon as he finishes off that Butterfly, that's his first real big damage item. Plus, it obviously makes him a lot tankier because physical damage is heavily mitigated by that evasion. So he's going to be surviving longer, getting off more right clicks. Jump in. Whoa, I'm not sure if this is it. Ysera is trying to commit to this kill onto the Vengeful Spirit, but both the mech and the Death Pulse outdo every bit of damage he laid in. And now Vissam trying to catch up to the Storm Spirit, but decides against it. BKB blown, nothing lost. Big win for Underminer, as they don't really want to take any engagements right now anyway. Finish off the Butterfly. Necrophos, I'm sure, has got to be getting something here. He finished off the Reaper's Scythe and is going to be going for a later BKB. I'm okay with this. You got to have something to deal with the Orchid. You can't let Orchid be fully effective in the late game. It'd be quite silly. And Underminer also doing a good job trying to control some of the very aggressive vision from 5-ever. You could still see they have this mid-ward set up when they were going for the tier 2. But not much from there. Let's take a look at the items as a whole here, because we haven't really done that. Witch Doctor, halfway, over halfway, about 2/3 of the way there to the Aghanims upgrade. That's obviously hugely important. A big time. That is a big time turtling defense right there. The Witch Doctor ultimate, very hard to push into that. Now we saw the Centaur pick up his Dagon just now. So raw burst damage, understandable, especially up against the Necrophos or some of these other heroes that have BKBs. They're all kind of squishy. They're all susceptible to burst damage, so even this late, getting a Dagon is still going to be effective, and I would say definitely invest into the full Dagon 5. He's not going to, well, maybe he will make this jump. Some of his allies were coming in. Miracle doesn't quite get it there. That's super fast reactions there from Cloud. Very well played. That's why sometimes you need to pop the ultimate first from the Centaur and then blink in and blink on top of him. So that way you get instant damage to disable the blink, and then from there, Cloud would be forced to use BKB in order to dodge the hoof stomp. Witch Doctor. I'm not sure if they want to commit to... Oh, double impale! Double hoof stomp as well. Beautiful. Cloud's going to be blown up as well as the Queen of Pain. Now, we do have Witch Doctor who tries to let loose a good ultimate, but unfortunately, nowhere near enough damage there to threaten anybody. And now Vengeful Spirit also getting caught. No bueno for Underminer. They may have just cost themselves the game there with that excellent gank from 5-ever. That was beautiful setup there by Chibi. His line has impressed me in the past, and it's definitely impressing now. Greedy Chibi wants as much HP and mana as possible, so he drops his Tranquil Boots while he sucks dry the range creep.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And now the push in. Still another 20 seconds until the SF is up, but they could lose to tier 3, and if they lose another fight, there goes Raxes, maybe 2 sets of Raxes, and that would be the game right there. I mean, 5-ever. 33 minutes into this game, they're kind of at their height of power, I would say, in many ways. So they need to try and end this game. I would say now would be the best bet. Now Bruno does get caught out at the Reaper's Scythe. He manages to live through it, so he's only dead for 80 seconds. Man, if I was that Queen of Pain, every chance I would get, I would use Sonic Wave on those familiars. That is just too much gold. That's something I didn't think about before this game, but going through Magic Immunity, familiars are just such easy kills. And that's 300 gold. Like, that's a kill right there. The familiars aren't ready yet. I'm not sure why they're really trying to stick around. They wanted a pick off, I guess, and they may still get it. Cloud! Oh, greedy mother. Man, that was a blink in, no BKB, and sure enough, he dies. This is pretty much worth. Yeah, this is so much worth, solely because, you got to feel for him there. Vissam whiffs the blind Sonic Wave there, just barely, in trying to kill those familiars. But yeah, Visage for the SF, take that all day, every day. I thought the Lion was going to die as well, but even he got out. So rough times for Underminer in the last 5 minutes. BKB, though, is finished up by the Necrophos, and that's a bad sign. This guy, thanks to his mech and his death pulses, has enough to survive through any physical damage that 5 ever try and throw at him. It was always just the disables and magical bursts, like the Finger of Death, Storm Spirit's amount of damage he lays in with Orchid and everything else. That was always the biggest problem for this Necrophos. Now that he's got BKB, he's going to survive a lot longer in these team fights if he manages to get it off. As we've seen from the SF, he's had a couple of plays. Oh, big Shivas. Ysera comes in hot, trying to blow up that support, but is forced to bounce himself away and use the BKB as well out of total fear there. So, interesting idea here. The Stormseer opting to go for Shivas rather than Scythe of Ice. Now, this certainly is still going to be an effective item. I don't blame Ysera for it, though. I feel like Hex might be the better item here. Shivas is certainly still really effective. First of all, because you have a lot of blinking heroes. Vissam going to be caught out here in this bottom lane. Finger of Death will ensure the kill, but they don't even need it. So the SF's Blink Dagger, practically impossible to blink away from a Storm Spirit zipping on you when he pops Shivas. Like, that's just way too fast and way too much AoE to blink away before it hits you. Right? So that's practically impossible. So that Blink Dagger, done for. All these heroes, quite squishy. So the Shivas, I mean, were quite squishy anyway. Necrophos, not quite as much anymore. The SF, a little bit tankier since his butterfly pickup. But the Shivas is still, like, if you look at percentage of HP, that Shiva is still going to be pretty effective, and that is a huge kill. 5 ever might have just won the game with that one right there. Cloud is going to be forced back, though. There's no buyback from the Necrophos, and they still have the Queen of Bane down for another 10 seconds. 5 ever are going to take 2 sets of Raxes here, unless somehow the Queen of Pain manages to get off a really big play here in this next team fight. Miracle pops his BKB. There goes Avenge. And now it's 3 versus 5. As the range Rax falls in the bottom lane, melee Rax already going down. 5 ever can't go anywhere from here, but they can go back and do Roshan. 2 sets of Rax plus Roshan. Oh, actually going to try and go for the tier 2. Nope, zip back in. Ysera grabs Cloud. Oh, God. It gets worse and worse and worse as 5 ever continue to pick off these heroes from the side of Underminer, who are just not reacting well enough to the heavy amount of initiation. 5 ever all about the initiation for the late game, and it's proven to be super effective versus Underminers. Now Queen of Pain comes in, gets off the ultimate, takes down Miracle, but that is it. A buyback that only kills 1. Still leaves 5 ever in a dominating position here to be able to go for back up, go for Roshan. Are they really sticking around? They're really going to go for... What is Pelosin doing here, man? This guy, I mean, I know he's got a lot of minus armor. And I know he's got a lot of physical damage, but why is he here? This is actually crazy. All right, he TP's out. Jesus. I feel like I'm watching some sort of Daredevil show. Watch Pelosin as he hides inside the enemy base, surrounded by 5 heroes. Bristleback is building in some big-time deeps. Another Shivas? Jesus, they went double Shivas. That's actually less incentive for you, Sarah. I really think he should have gone Scythe of Ice, but hey, whatever. It's working for them. But now, Bristleback, like, once he has Abyssal, ooh, boy. Middle lane, the swap. Necrophos surviving for the time being, pops BKB mech, and will be able to turn. But nobody from 5EVER really getting caught. They almost got the Necrophos there. Maybe if they had that upgraded Dagon, Dagon 5, they would have been able to claim that kill. But as is, I don't know, like, do they have a gem? Okay, so Chibi, a lot of this is on Chibi. His gem, I'm not sure how long he's had it, but notice the distinct lack of vision for Underminer. Every single time that they get jumped, it's because they don't see it coming. Underminer do have some vision, but it's just like not in the right spots. For example, they got picked off here in this bottom lane, had no vision of this area, right, to see any oncoming ganks. Earlier, they got caught up here, right, but they didn't have vision over in these areas. So the initiation here from 5EVER has been super duper effective because of that. Now, Sarah grabs the Aegis and cheese for Pelosin, who actually drops it and is giving it to Miracle. So now you essentially have 7 lives on the side of 5EVER. They've taken 2 sets of racks. I mean, they're just on the precipice. They need 1 team fight, and they're good. While Underminer, they've got to win, like, 10 team fights in a row in order to start making a comeback. Maybe not that many. I mean, maybe that's a bit excessive, but Visum does get caught here, and gets blown up. Sarah comes in hot with the Shivas. Now going in next, Witch Doctor on the side, as well as the Vengeful Spirit will both be cleaned up. Necrophos saved for last, as it seems like they're going to go for Cloud next, and then it's all left to the Necrophos, but GG is called, and Underminer will be taken down in game number 2 as 5EVER strike back pretty damn hard. Quite concerning for them, though. I mean, they almost lost control of this game. But with the way that Underminer were able to keep this game close for the first 20 to 25 minutes, 5EVER didn't have a clear-cut victory, as this game was going pretty late. But 41 minutes in, finally they were able to. Actually, it was more like pretty much they won the game at like 35 minutes, right, where they had that big team fight. Well, it wasn't even a team fight, though. It was just pick-off after pick-off. Underminer definitely got to work on that a lot better, because they didn't even have a massive team fight that they ended up losing, and then they lost a set of racks. They got picked off like 2 or 3 times in a row, and it was like, oh, sweet, free racks. So Underminer certainly did make some questionable plays there. But definitely on 5EVER for finding those openings. That was quite well played. So Underminer impressed me here. This is a team that most of the names I haven't heard of. So looking forward to seeing more of them in the joinDOTA MLG Pro League. But for now, guys, that is going to be it. We're going to be taking a bit of a break here, as we have another 2.5 hours until our next game. Or is it just an hour and a half? I think I started at 19 CST. Sorry, I'm trying to bring up the calendar right now. 19 CET. So it's actually just an hour and a half. It is going to be NIP versus a team that I actually don't know. Goal? Who's GOL? All right. Whoever GOL is, that's who they're going to be facing. Game Online, who is... Oh, Slash Strike's team. Slash Strike, a moment. Okay. Fair enough. They just have a new name. So that's going to be our next game, hour and a half. I'll leave the stream up for now. No sense in shutting it down, since I got to bring it back up in an hour anyway. So if you guys want to stick around for that, come back after watching some DAC or something like that, please do.